Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick little deck review of a new deck that I got. I debated on doing one because every YouTuber, every tarot YouTuber does deck reviews, but I felt really strongly about this one, so I wanted to share it with you guys because I really think this is going to be a special deck for me. So the story with this deck, this past weekend I had a really good friend in town to help celebrate Halloween. So the day after we went to brunch, and then there happened to be this really cool crystal shop next door. So we checked it out after, and they had a huge array of crystals and really awesome, you know, metaphysical trinkets and all that really cool stuff that I could have spent $1,000 on. But they had a little bookshelf of tarot decks, and I went over there, and this guy caught my eye. It is the new Palladini deck. It is by David Palladini. He is the author and illustrator of the new Aquarian deck, which I did not know when I saw this deck sitting on the shelf. So I picked it up and I was immediately drawn to it, so I right away went to the cash register and purchased it, and I wanted to share it with you guys. First things first, the box. Little white book. It's a pretty standard little white book. However, one thing that I really liked about it was David explains his thoughts and his feelings on tarot and what it's used for, and how it can be used, how he feels it can be used in the most meaningful way. And it's really his thoughts and practices are very much mirrored mine. That in the likes that it's a tool of almost psychology and a tool of self-help and a tool of you know, basically you get what you put into it, and I really respond to that. But he also keeps it a little, you know, a little mystical and a little magical, which I also really respond to. So I immediately, as soon as I read the little white book, I immediately felt pretty connected to the author. One of the very first things that I noticed about the deck when I opened it is that it's this standard tarot deck size. It's the same size as my universal Rider-Waite. But it just feels good in my hand. You know when a deck feels good in your hand? It just feels good, and I can shuffle it really easily. I'm not the greatest shuffler in the world, but I don't have a problem shuffling this deck at all. It fits really easy in my hand. It's very, it's not glossy, but it's smooth, so it's really easy to work. The next thing I really liked was the backs of the cards. This really deep red color, which you might not be able to really get. There we go. There we go. And it has the Infinity Serpent on it, which I just think is awesome. It's kind of, I don't know, menacing a little bit. I don't know. I just really like it a lot. Another thing that I really responded to with this deck is that I am a bit of a traditionalist, and I really don't stray too far from the standard Rider-Waite symbolism. And what I really like about this deck is that he keeps it very similar, but he also isn't afraid to, you know, draw on his own interpretations. So one of the biggest differences is that the wands are rods, and this is the first deck that I have where the wands are rods. The Eight of Swords, for instance, is you know, pretty similar to the original Rider-Waite. The Ten of Swords is pretty similar. The colors on this deck are very vibrant, which I really respond to. I really respond to colors. That's why I use the universal Rider-Waite a lot, as opposed to my original Rider-Waite, because the colors just pop so much more. One thing that is different with this deck is that he uses a lot of close-ups, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but for instance, on the court cards, all of the court cards are very, they look like this. They're almost like headshots, which I kind of like because you can really see the expressions in their faces. And you get the sense that you know what they're seeing and what they're feeling. So I really like that. Here's the King of Swords. He also uses different ethnicities within these cards, which I think is really important. You know, obviously when the Rider-Waite Smith deck was created, that wasn't such an issue, or maybe wasn't something they were thinking of. But he even states it in the little book that he, you know, really worked to make sure that different ethnicities were represented, and I think that's awesome. One very interesting thing about this deck is that the Queen and King of Pentacles look like this, and I think that is just so cool. A few cards that are a little different the Devil card, which is extremely menacing and slightly terrifying. But I love the chain that he has. It almost looks like it could be connected to the queer, and it really represents that feeling that you're, being tied down by these material things or these bad decisions, all the things that the Devil represent. I just think that it's such a cool aspect of that card. The Moon is beautiful. It's a little darker and a little more ominous than other moons I've seen. I just think it's gorgeous. The Strength card I absolutely love. It's a beautiful, beautiful card. I mean, that lion, it's beautiful. The Fool is really interesting to me. The Fool is one of my favorite cards in the deck. And when I first saw this, I thought it was a woman. And then I saw that it is, in fact, a bearded man. But it's very androgynous, which I kind of enjoy. It really, to me, represents that new beginning, that rebirth, that it doesn't matter if you're, male, female, black, white, whatever. We all go through this same spiritual journey. And I really feel like this card represents that really, really well. So I kind of almost feel like the androgyny is intentional. I might be reading into it too much, but I definitely think that. The Death card, another favorite of mine. This one is also a lot more menacing, a little darker than other Death cards I've seen. But I really, really enjoy it. Definitely gets the point across. The High Priestess is also a bit different, as in it's also a close-up. And her robes are purple, which is usually the traditional blue in the Rider-Waite, and I just think this card is gorgeous. I really respond well to the expression on her face. In the Rider-Waite, it's difficult, kind of difficult to see what she's thinking, or, kind of understand what she's doing. And in this card, she seems very caring and nurturing, and I really respond to that. All in all, it's a beautiful deck, and I am so happy I found it. I've actually done a few readings with it already, and it's gonna, I think, become one of my go-to decks. So if you see it in a store, or if you find it online, I would highly recommend it. I bought it for 20 bucks at the store. Prices probably vary, but I would definitely recommend it. Hope you guys enjoyed. I tried to keep it short and sweet. And until next time, happy reading.